small preview of what we have for the rest of the week. So, this is our last week of this summer program that we've been doing. And so this week will look a little different because we're going to spend a lot more time talking and having some small conversations during our class. So today will be the first class that gets us started with that. And tomorrow, we will get more into having discussions and agreeing and disagreeing with each other. And then Friday will be your presentations. And so I will talk a little bit more about your presentation tomorrow. But it'll be about the Olympics, which is what we've been studying. So that will be the final project. And I will tell you more about that tomorrow. But for today, Barry, I'm not sure if you got my message. You may or may not have. But do you have a question for the day today? No? Okay, that's okay because I have a question. And this will be a question that we'll come back to later in class. So let's start with something simple. What is your favorite and least favorite classes in school or subjects in school, and why? Favorite and least favorite subjects in school. Okay, let's start with Sandy. So Sandy, what's your favorite subject?
I think my favorite subject is Chinese because uh, uh, spe- uh, because in China culture, speaking Chinese is a common thing. So yeah, so I like it.
You like it? All right. So you like it because you're able to speak better to other people in your community and do a better job with communicating in Chinese.
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Leo? Oh, actually, stop. Before we get to Leo, Sandy, what's your least favorite? Which subject do you like the least?
My last favorite is math.
Math. Okay. Oh,
Because I think the every math question is difficult to me.
oh, all right, because they're okay. Every question is difficult. All right. Now, Leo.
你的背景都有点
What
吵，如果你没有讲话，麻烦你静音一下，Cindy，谢谢。Okay, I'm done.
Oh, wait, Leo, how about you? What's your favorite and least favorite subjects?
Um, my favorite subject is math
All
because
right.
I like the sense of accomplishment of it, of
Oh,
done.
you like the feeling of completion with it?
Yeah,
Oh, because when you have a big problem and you work out the problem, it feels good to get to that answer, that final answer.
yeah.
Okay. And what about your least favorite?
My list.
Leo,
Oh,
we cannot hear you. Try one
Oh,
more. Least favorite.
my least favorite subject.
uh-oh. I think you muted again. What was your least favorite?
The science.
Science. Okay, science was your least favorite. And why don't you like science? Why is it your
Because
least favorite?
I really don't know the the um the science means what the question means. Okay.
The questions
Oh,
are difficult?
yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of similar to Sandy. The questions are difficult, so that makes you not like it very much. All right. Ray, how about you?
My favorite is Chinese.
Chinese.
Because I'm very good at Chinese. So my Chinese teacher, she always give me uh, some free range that I can do some things I want to do.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good. So she gives. So your teacher gives you free range. So you're able to do different work that you want to do that interests you, not maybe just what the class is doing.
Yes.
All right, very good. That's a good reason. And how about your least favorite, Ray?
Uh, my uh my least favorite subjects is science.
Science. All right. Okay. And Barry, how about you? What are your favorite and least favorite subjects?
Uh, my favorite subject is science. Because my science teacher is good and it's fun in her class.
Nice. All right. She's a good teacher and it's fun. All right. And what about your least favorite?
Uh, is art because I am not good at drawing.
Okay. You're not gonna. Yep. That's a good reason. I think you may not like art. Okay. Good. So and let me change my view. Do we have any other students here? I only see four on my screen. And I think that might be it. Okay. If there's someone else that I'm not getting to, please let me know. But good job, everyone. So that favorite and least favorite subjects, pretty easy. But now let's start talking about a little bit more about how we would express our opinion. So that was an opinion. Your least favorite and your favorite classes, those are opinions. Can anyone tell me what it means to have an opinion? What is an opinion? What is an opinion?
Idea.
Yeah, an idea. Okay, it's an idea. Anyone else have a way to define or to describe what an opinion is?
What do you think about the thing?
Yeah, it's what you think about something. Exactly. It's what you think about something. So, very good. So, an opinion is what you think about something or an idea. So, that's different than a fact because what is a fact? How does an opinion differ from a fact? Do you know what that is? A fact?
Leo, could you give it a try?
Facts. Uh, I don't know.
That's okay. It's a new word. So a fact, it's the opposite of an opinion. So a fact is something that is true. And it's not just true to you. So if I said my favorite subject is math, that is true. It's true to me. But if I ask Sandy if her favorite subject is math, that's not true because that's an opinion. An opinion can be different from person to person, whereas a fact is always true. So a fact may be that my birthday is in May. That is a fact because there's no other way. It doesn't matter what I think or what Sandy or what Barry thinks. That just is. That is my birthday. It is in May. And so those are the differences. And when we talk about something that is an opinion, we say words that give a clue that this is an opinion and not a fact. Because when we're talking to people or when we're writing something down for someone to read, we want them to know if what we're saying is just our opinion or if it's a fact. And so there are words that we use to let people know that something is an opinion. Okay, so let's start by looking at some of those words. Um, is that pretty visible? How does it look? I'm
Yeah, I can see
hopefully
clearly.
okay. You can see it clearly. Okay, so here we have a few ways that we can express opinions. And we have two columns. One is we have an informal. One is the informal way, which is most situations. And then we have a column for more formal. Now, when we're expressing our opinion, the reason I have said informal in most situations is because when we're expressing an opinion, especially one that is not in disagreement with someone else's opinion, or we're not telling someone we disagree, most times we can say these using an informal way of speech. Speaking in a formal way are very limited circumstances or limited times where you may use the more formal way. So in most situations, any of the ones that you see here could be ways that you said it. So I heard some of you this time say I think. Many of you said I think for which subject is your favorite, and some of you also said in my opinion. So those were the two very common ways that we say that. But there are some others. I believe, I feel, or I would say. So I could say something like, I would say summer is the best season because you can go outside and do more activities. So the fact that I said I would say means that it's an opinion. It means that it's not something that's a fact. It's something that someone else could have a different view on. Okay? Now, Leo, could you try why don't you give me a another opinion about school? So oh, when do you like do you think it's a good idea to go to school in person or online? Which do you think is better?
I think in person go to school is better because um, you can play with your friends and take a chat with them.
All right. You think it's better because you can play with your friends and talk with them or chat with them. hmm So you can talk or chat with your friends. Okay. All right. Now, does anyone have a different opinion? Does anyone think that we should go to school online? Or maybe we should do both. Maybe we should go to school online and in person. Does anyone think that? Oh, okay. Everyone likes in person. Well, in my opinion, I think having a little bit of both could be good because you all can go to class and go to lessons online like this, but you can also go to school in person when you have normal school. So I think having both is a good idea. Okay. Now, for the other more formals, we have from my perspective. So a perspective is your point of view, something that you think. That's a perspective, like your perspective. So my perspective, meaning what I think. That's my perspective. Or I could say from Ray's perspective, that would mean what Ray thinks. What Ray, if I'm seeing the situation through Ray's eyes, if I'm looking at this question from Ray's point of view, that would be Ray's perspective. From my perspective is from my point of view. in my view, same kind of thing. Or it seems to me that. It seems to me that. That's another more formal way that you can say it. So let's practice a little bit with these concepts. Okay, so let's say that we go back to the question of the day. What is your favorite and least favorite subject in school? Barry, could you think of or could you use one of these phrases that maybe you haven't used before to say what your favorite and least favorite subjects in school are? Try a different one. Let's try not to use I think or in my opinion. Let's use a different one.
I feel science class is good because the teacher always let me feel good and fun.
All right. So I feel, and most times when we use I feel, we're going to say I feel that. I feel that. And then whatever you're going to say. So we'll start with the I feel, but usually in most cases we're going to add the word that. So in your case, I feel that art class or I feel that art is the best subject or is my favorite class. So that. Okay? How about Ray? Ray, can you answer that question again using maybe try using one of the more formal ways to express your opinion using the same question.
Uh, from my perspective, uh, Chinese is my favorite subject
Mm-hmm. All right,
because
Chinese. Oh, go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
oh, uh, because my teacher gives me enough free range.
Enough free range. Okay, from my perspective. Now, in this case, when you say perspective, I like that it's your favorite class, but you could also say, from my perspective, Chinese is the best class. Because that, since it's your favorite, it's also, in your opinion, or in from your perspective, it's the best class that there is. So that's another thing that you could say there, is the best class. Leo, how about you try a different one?
In my view, my favorite subject is math. Because um, I like uh, I like a sense of accomplishment to after done it.
You like the sense of completion after you've done it.
Yeah.
After you've done it. Okay. So in your view, math is the best subject. Okay. All right. So now that's good. A sense of accomplishment. Oh yes, yes, a sense of accomplishment. Mm-hmm. All right. So very good class. So that is how we're going to start with our expressions of opinions. So most of you are pretty good there. So now let's talk about how we would reply to someone's opinion. So usually, since opinions are not facts, and we know from our question that opinions can vary. They can be different from different people. Sometimes you agree with an opinion or you disagree with an opinion. So let's look at ways that we agree. So here we have two columns. The first are normal ways, everyday ways that we could agree. And in the second column, it says high degree. So the degree of something is just the level of which you agree to something. Maybe you just agree a little bit, or you just agree, or maybe you really agree, or you agree a lot. So if you have a, I agree, I agree, or if you strongly agree, meaning you really, really agree with that statement. So for normal, me too, so do I agree, or you have a point. You have a point is a very common way that we could say that we agree with something. especially if someone is giving an opinion that says some types of details. For instance, Ray just told us that math, or Ray just told us, Leo just told us that math was his favorite subject because he gets a sense of accomplishment when he finishes the work. And if you agree with that, let's say you agree, you could say you have a point. And if you said you have a point, that means that you also feel a sense of accomplishment when you finish a math problem. So similar, you could be on Sandy's side of math, where Sandy says, I don't like math. Math is my least favorite because all of the questions are very hard. So if you don't like math, you might say you have a point. And that would mean that you also think that the questions are very hard. You have a point. Now, if you really agree with something or have a strong feeling, I couldn't agree more, I strongly agree. That's exactly how I feel. Definitely or exactly again. So on all of these, usually when we agree with something, we'll say why we agree. So you could say, me too. I also get a sense of accomplishment when I finish a math problem. So do I. I also think that art is the best subject. So typically we would put something else onto there, okay? So let's practice this one. This one's pretty easy to practice. So I think that Sandy, your favorite subject was Chinese. Ray, could you give a reason why you agree or use one of our phrases of why you agree with Sandy?
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, that's great. I couldn't agree more. All right, and how about let's see. Oh, now Leo, you also think that science is the worst subject. It's your least favorite. Ray also thinks that. How about you try? What could you say to Ray if he says, Leo, I hate science. It is the worst subject. What would you say back?
That is exactly how I feel.
That's exactly how I feel. Yes, that's very good. So you also do not like math. All right. And how about, now this is next we'll have our disagreement. So that's a good. So everyone here gets our agreement. Agreed is pretty easy, right? It's easy to agree with someone. I think that's the easier of the two. So now let's look at our ways that we can disagree. So disagreeing is a little harder because when we disagree with someone, we don't want to hurt their feelings, make them feel bad for their opinion. We don't want to make them angry or mad because we've disagreed with them. And so when we disagree, many times we will use a more polite way or a softer way to disagree with someone. So here it's almost the opposite. If you remember before, the informal was what we use most often. For disagreeing, it's the opposite. We typically disagree in a more polite or more formal fashion. So you can see our more formal or more polite ways of disagreeing is a longer list because usually when we disagree, we do it in a nice way so that we don't upset people or make people feel bad. Okay? So the informal way, we only have three. I disagree. I don't agree. Yeah, but. So in the situation of using yeah, but, it's when you are going to directly speak with someone after they've given an opinion. So let's say the example of Leo. Leo says he gets a sense of accomplishment from finishing math problems. I could say, yeah, Leo, but It takes so long to do the math problem. So that's why I don't like it. That's a way that I disagree with Leo. So I basically am saying, yes, you do. I understand your perspective, or I understand what you're saying, but I disagree. Okay. So now let's look at the more formal ways. All right, how about Barry? Can you read the first bullet? Is it big enough? Can you read it? The number of the first bullet?
I'm afraid I have to disagree with you.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid I have to disagree with you. All right, Sandy, the next bullet.
Okay. I beg to differ.
Yes, I beg to differ. So that's a way that you could say it. All right, how about Leo, the next one?
That's not always the case.
Yeah, so that's not always the case. This is one that we can use when someone says something that maybe happens sometimes but doesn't happen all the time. So I could say, okay, in the example that I gave earlier, I think summer is the best season because you can go outside and do a lot of activities. Someone could say to me, that's not always the case. When there's a hurricane or typhoon, we have to stay inside. So I don't like the summer. So that means that most of the times you can go outside and do things, but not always. That's not always the case. That's not always the case. All right, Ray, what about our next one? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, but I don't agree.
Uh, I'm sorry, but I don't agree.
There you go. You got it. And how about Barry, our last one? I'm
I'm not sure I agree with you.
all right. So I'm not sure I agree with you. All right, so let's practice those a little bit. All right. So this time, Barry said that science was his favorite subject because he has a good teacher and she makes the class fun. What do you think, Ray?
I'm sorry, but I don't agree.
I'm sorry, but I don't agree. Okay, good. All right. What about you, Leo? What do you think?
I'm sorry, but I don't agree.
Sorry, but I don't agree. What about a different one? What else could you say? What's a different phrase you could say?
Um, that's not always the case.
Oh, that's not always the case. Okay, I want to say something about that option. That's not always the case. Now, if we think about that phrase, we really only, that one's a tricky one because that's not only the case, we only want to use that in times where there are more than one option in or more than one option for that answer. So in this case, Barry has told us that his favorite subject is science. If you say that's not always the case, it means that sometimes Barry's favorite is science, sometimes it's math, sometimes it's art, but he's already told us that his favorite is science. So that would be one that we wouldn't use in that particular situation. But if it's something that has multiple options or the answer could change, such as, okay, if we think about sports, we could say gymnastics is the most exciting sport at the Olympics. It has the most viewers. Then, Leo, you could say, that's not always the case. Swimming is also very exciting and sometimes has more viewers than gymnastics. Okay. All right. So how about Sandy? Leo thinks that math is the best subject there is. What do you think?
I'm afraid I have to disagree with you.
All right. I'm afraid I have to disagree with you. All right. So I want to just point out one thing with the disagreement. There's a little bit of something in common with all of our phrases about disagreeing that we use most often. So if we look at the longer list, there's a lot of phrases like I'm afraid, I beg, I'm sorry. Do you notice anything about what we say a lot of times when we disagree? We usually are apologizing, or we're saying that we regret or we are sorry that we have to disagree, or we beg, almost we ask permission to disagree. So these are just ways that we say our disagreeing opinion or we disagree with someone in a polite way, is to essentially apologize or to ask to disagree. Okay? All right. So that's just a little bit. And now what I would like to do is practice a little bit with a listening exercise. So before we get into the listening exercise, I want to ask just a few questions. Um, does the class know what if I say donating blood or giving blood? Is that something that you are familiar with? Have you ever heard of that before? The blood in our bodies and giving blood or donating blood? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so donating is when we give. We give something. So we can, a lot of times, we will say donating blood in the United States because usually it's something that you do without getting paid. Most people will donate, as in, I just give my blood, but I don't get paid. I don't get any money for doing it. But sometimes there are some places that do give you money to donate blood. Okay? So this story is going to be about opinions related to being paid to donate blood. Okay? So we know that if someone's in the hospital or they get hurt very badly, sometimes they need blood because they lost so much blood, they need more blood. And the way that we have it is by other people giving their blood, right? All right, so let's listen to our video. In this video, I want you to pay attention to what the opinions are. So you're going to see a news reporter ask different people questions about giving blood. And I want you to take a note and think about what everyone's opinion is. And that's what we'll discuss. Okay? So let me. Oh. Okay. All right.
First, watch the video. Second, answer the questions.
And that's all we're going to do, class. Watch the video and answer the questions. We're not going to do the last part. Okay, so here we go.
Giving your opinion. Should people be paid to give their blood? A young high school teacher made the headlines this week while he described how much money he had made while studying at university by giving his blood. We've been asking people on the street for their take on the situation. David B. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing wrong with paying people to donate blood. It's in demand and can help a lot of people. So why shouldn't people make a little extra money by giving? Terry R. Speaking personally, I think that people giving blood shouldn't be paid. It goes without saying that this will increase the amount of blood being given. But why can't we help each other without needing some kind of financial incentive? Artem T.
In their class, financial incentive just means money or some type of compensation. So usually money. So to be paid, that's a financial incentive.
I have no doubt that offering money will help increase the number of people who give blood. But I'm concerned that it will lead to people giving too much and damaging their health. Victoria B. In my opinion, we should be thinking of more ways to get people to give blood. It's in such short supply, but it's something we could all easily provide. If everybody gave blood, people with serious illnesses would be more likely to survive.
Sorry.
Are you ready to improve your English? Join conversation.
Well, that I'm surprised that's never happened before, but that's the first time I've gotten ads in the middle of my video for class. So sorry about that. But let's think about, we'll stop the video there.
Conversation alive with live
And
teachers.
let's think about some of the opinions that we heard. Okay. Can anyone give me one opinion that was discussed in that video about giving blood? What was one person's opinion? Sandy, do you remember hearing an opinion?
Okay. A woman. I forgot her name. She said, if we pay money for the people who donate the blood, and many people will how do I say many people donate blood for money, so maybe they donate the blood will hurt their health.
Yes, that was good. Okay, that was good. So if we pay people to donate blood, they might donate too much, and then it will hurt their health. It will make them sick because they don't have enough blood because they've given it all away to get paid the money. So that's one reason why. So do you think that she agreed with donating blood or disagreed with getting paid to donate blood?
Disagree.
Okay, disagreed. Yep. What about you, Ray? Do you remember any other opinions about donating blood that you heard?
I remember David said, as far as he concerned, there's nothing wrong with paying people to donate blood.
All right. That's good. As far as he's concerned, as far as I'm concerned. So you may have noticed that in this video, the people started their opinions off with some different phrases. So this person, like Ray said, he said, as far as I'm concerned. So that's another way you can start an opinion. So we do have several ways, not just the ones that I listed here, but those were some of the most common. But in every case, they always started it with something. As far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, I think, I see nothing wrong with that. So they always started with something, a little phrase that indicated that were giving an opinion. So before we go, oh no, we have some more time. Okay, how about Leo? Leo, how about you? Can you tell me an opinion that you heard?
I still remember the first one say. He say, um, why do some people who donating blood get some money of it?
Okay, so on that one, you remember what they said. You still remember what the first person said. We want to make sure we use that past tense said. Okay, so you remember what they said. So why not give people money for their blood? Okay, so now let's think about our own opinions. So Sandy, let's go back to you. What do you think? Should people be paid to donate their blood?
I think not. Yeah, and because I think uh donate blood uh you have to be a volunteer to donate blood.
Okay, so you have to be more
Uh
tired? Did you say tired?
uh volunteer.
Volunteer. Yes, okay. So when you volunteer, you don't get paid. So you think that people should volunteer to donate their blood, not be paid for it.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Ray? Do you agree or disagree that people should get paid to donate blood?
I agree.
Oh, you you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And why? Why do you agree?
Uh, mm, because I I give another person my blood, so you should give me some return.
All right. Yes, you have given something that is very valuable. I mean, your blood is very valuable. You've given something very valuable to someone else, so you should be paid. Okay, and Leah, let's get your opinion. What do you think?
I disagree it because I think helping each other is not done for any benefit. So we should be a volunteer.
Okay, so helping people, you should help people without having to have a benefit for yourself. It's just about helping people.
Yeah.
All right, I disagree. Okay, so these are the kind of things we're going to do next class more. So this was the foundation, the first part, and we're going to practice having these conversations and giving our opinion and agreeing and disagreeing. So before we end our class today, I want to talk a little bit about the homework. So you will notice in Google Classroom that I have put an assignment for class 7 in Google Classroom, but there's only a video. In this video, we're going to learn a little bit about why some cities don't want to host the Olympics. So we all know that Tokyo, we talked about Tokyo is going to be the host of the Olympics this year. And we would all think that it's a really cool thing to host the Olympics, that it's really good for the city to have all of these athletes come and all of the fans come. But a lot of cities have a lot of trouble with this, and there's a lot of problems that hosting the Olympics can create. So this video is going to be about hosting the Olympics and why it could be why it could be a bad idea to host the Olympics. So for the assignment, I want you each to think about your opinion about this and whether you think it's a good idea or a bad idea to host the Olympics after you watch the video. And second, the second question is based on your opinion, if Taipei were to have the opportunity to host the Olympics, do you think the Olympics should be in Taipei, or do you think that Taipei should volunteer to host the Olympics? Okay, but you'll have to watch the video first and listen to some of the reasons why it's very hard to be the host city of the Olympics, and then have an opinion. Okay? So this one's a little different. There's not an assignment to turn in on Google Classroom. Your assignment is to be prepared to talk about this more in our next class, because we will do a lot of discussing in our next class. Okay? I want to challenge all of you. This presentation is also in your Google Classroom, and you can also look up on your own some different ways in English to agree or disagree and to express an opinion. So I want to challenge you three, especially since you're in class, and Barry too, he was here for a while. I want to challenge all of you to use some different phrases. So tonight I heard a lot of I think, in my opinion, or just I agree and disagree. Let's challenge ourselves to use some of those other options so you can get practice saying some different things, okay? So that's going to be the challenge, to give our opinions, agree and disagree using some different language, okay? Are there any questions? Okay. Luke, anything to add on your end?
Okay, so yeah, could you give them your opinions about Olympics?
Oh, about the host city?
Yeah, I just listened to a podcast this morning, and Japanese people are very upset about the upcoming Olympics because it will become a super spreader event. So what do you think? Give me your opinion.
Yes. Well, I think, and from my perspective, hosting the Olympics is still a great honor, and it's a way to showcase and to show off your city and your country. But I do think that it costs a lot of money, and that nowadays, especially in present time, it can actually be more of a burden. So I think that the Olympic Committee and the people who run the Olympics on an international level, they should give more aid and more help to the cities and the countries that are hosting the Olympics. Because right now, the cities have to pay, and the taxpayers and the citizens, the people who live in the city, have to pay through their taxes for most of the Olympics. And so that's very difficult and it's very expensive. But as as many of you know, Los Angeles has been chosen to host the Olympics in 2028, which is the city in the U.S. that I was from most recently. So I'm very excited that the Olympics will be in Los Angeles.
I mean, especially difficult in the pandemic. So yeah, cost money, maybe cost people's lives as well.
Yes, with the pandemic especially.
I
But
feel bad for them because you cannot afford to cancel Olympics 2020 because you have spent so much money, and so I think they are in a dilemma. All right, thank you for your opinion. Thank you for the great lesson. And students, could you unmute your microphone and say thank you to Teacher Quentin?
Thank you.
Thank you, Teacher
Teacher
Quentin.
Quentin.
well, thank you. And next class, we're going to talk a lot about our opinions, so be ready.
Yeah,
All right,
we'll
I'll
see
see you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
See you
Bye
tomorrow.
bye. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.